Hey y'all, I'm Robin. Welcome back to my channel. So today I am refilming my winter TBR. I had filmed this like back in November. I did like a big filming day right after Thanksgiving, and I had filmed this entire video. And I went to go edit it, and it was kind of a mess. Like, I don't know if it was like this was one of the last videos that I had filmed, but I was a rambly mess. And then I ended up finishing my December TBR really early in the month, and I started in on some January arcs. And then as I was editing my winter TBR, I realized that I had read two books off of that winter TBR, and I didn't know how to like fix it in editing. So rather than just kind of like powering through, I decided that I'm just gonna scrap that first video, and I just updated my winter TBR, and we're here and we're refilming it. Hopefully this round goes a little better, but I have 10 books that I want to talk about that I want to read this winter. I have done this for a fall TBR, which I will link up in the cards. One of my next videos will be me reflecting back on that TBR and sharing what books I read, what I rated them, and then I'm going to share my favorite books of fall. For winter, I have 10 books. I don't have a single one of these physically. They're all either like Kindle books or ARCs or things that I have on audio. A lot of them are series continuations. I don't know what it is about the first half of 2022, but there are a lot of series continuations that are coming out right away at the beginning of the year. So let's just get right into the winter TBR. So first up is a companion book. I actually don't know anything about this book because I didn't know that this book was coming out until pretty recently, but that is Melt for Us by Molly Doyle. I read Scream for Us for Smutathon back in October. I will link that up in the cards as well. But this book took me on a wild, wild ride, and I didn't know that there was going to be more in this like world. And so I have not looked at the synopsis for this at all. I'm assuming it follows the same characters, but I don't actually know. This comes out right at the end of December, and it is a holiday themed book. I think it comes out December 28th, if I'm not mistaken. And I pretty much plan to read it on December 28th when it releases. I'm sure it's going to be a short novella again. Like I said, I don't know anything about this, but I loved Scream for Us. I'm really excited for this one. It's going to be probably the first book that I read off of this TBR since it does come out so soon. But the next book on this list is 11 Other Disasters by Anita, and I feel like I've talked about this book in a million videos, so I'm going to keep this one short. This is a adult romance, and it is following these two competitors on a baking competition. One of them is recently divorced and like looking to like turn around her life. She's kind of in a difficult financial situation. And the other main character is the first openly non-binary character on this baking competition. And the two of them kind of have this like meet cute. They end up forming a relationship and falling in love, all while also competing on this baking competition. It sounds really cute. I've heard amazing things like from early reviewers, people who've read this, and I'm really excited. I am planning on vlogging me reading this. I will be reading this one right away in January, so I'm really excited for this one. The next book on this list is one of my most anticipated sequels of 2022, and that is Beautiful Nightmares by KJ Sutton. This is the next book in the Fortuna Sworn series. I'm not going to go into the synopsis of this one because this is book number 4, but this series follows a heroine who is a nightmare, and she can look into people's heads and discover their greatest fear and then turn that fear against them and essentially like attack them. And she gets wrapped up into this like fae court, fae politics, all in order to try and rescue her brother. And it kind of goes from there. I love the like fae courts. There is kind of like a love triangle, but it is a real love triangle. Not like two guys are pining over the same girl, but like all three of them are kind of interested in each other. I'm really excited to see how that plays out. I cannot wait to see where this next book goes because book 3 left me screaming. So this one comes out right away at the beginning of January, so it's another book that I plan to read like right away in the new year. I know this book is going to kill me. and then I'm gonna have to wait another year for book 5. I'm ready for the hurt. The next book on this list is Electric Idol by Katee Robert, and this is the next book in the Neon Gods series. I don't remember what the name of this series is, but Neon Gods was book 1. This is a companion book, I guess, because it's not following the same characters. So it takes place in the same world, and we did meet these characters in book 1, but it's not like a continuation of book 1 stories. I know nothing about the plot of this beyond it following Psyche and Eros because I don't really want to know anything. I will read everything that Katee Robert releases, regardless of the plot, in all honesty. Neon Gods wasn't my favorite book of hers, but I did still have a really good time, and I'm excited for another book in this world. I will give the caveat of this world doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So if you're like a hard fantasy reader, this might not work for you because like there's no rules here. This is very, very loose, like slightly magical, but I'm not going to explain any of it, but most of it is reality and there's no rules. Just a little caveat here. This is more about the romance and the world building is non-existent. But I'm really excited for this next book in the series. I do believe she announced that there's going to be even more books. I think originally it was just going to be 3, but there's like 6 or 7 that have been promised now, and I'm here for it. So this is the next book on my TBR. The next book on this TBR is The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberly and Siegemund-Broka. I struggle with those names every single time I say them. I don't know what it is. This is an adult rom-com by an author duo who has done a whole bunch of YA contemporaries before this, and I've always kind of had them on my radar, but YA contemporary isn't really my genre, and I'm really excited to see what they bring to an adult rom-com. This premise sounds really, really cute. This is a second chance romance between a writing duo who had this big fallout after their last book, and they kind of went their separate ways, but they have one more like contracted book. So they come back together and they go on this like trip to this writing resort. They have a second chance romance, and I just think that premise sounds really, really cute. I am planning to read this during a vlog as well, so I will have all of my thoughts on a vlog coming towards like mid to late January. I've just started planning out my January content, so I don't exactly know when it's coming, but I am planning on vlogging this one, and I can't wait. I can't wait to pick this one up. Next is another sequel, and that is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is another one that I've talked about a lot on my channel. It's one of my most anticipated books of the year. I absolutely adored It Happened One Summer, and this is the follow-up following the sister of the heroine in book 1. It is her romance with the best friend of the hero, and the hero in this book is kind of known for being this like playboy kind of guy. Like he doesn't take anything too seriously and he's dating all the girls, but really he's like a secret romantic, and the two of them have this like friends to lovers romance, and I cannot wait. I have looked at a couple of early reviews, and people are saying that this one is even better than It Happened One Summer. Another sequel, like I said, there's a lot of sequels on this TBR, is Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. This is the 3rd book in the Written in the Stars series. I don't know if that's the name of the actual series, but book 1 was Written in the Stars, book 2 was Hang the Moon. This 3rd book is following the assistant of the hero in book 2, who is the brother of the heroines in book 1. This is a female-female romance, and I believe it is a second chance, like friends to lovers romance, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a minute since I've looked at the synopsis for this, so I'm kind of going off my vague memories here, but I am pretty sure the heroine in here, her friend returns to Seattle, and they haven't seen each other since they were like teenagers, and I believe they dated when they were teenagers as well, and they kind of went their separate ways, and now she is back in Seattle and she needs a place to stay, and so the heroine, the assistant, invites her to stay with her temporarily, and the two of them have a romance. I love a forced proximity in romances, so I'm really excited for that aspect. And I also like that it's like a friend's second chance romance, but not like a recent one. This is more like they didn't have like a really, really bad fallout or anything like that. It was just kind of like they dated as kids and went their separate ways. And I usually really like that because the second chance part makes more sense because they're like very different people now. I love these characters in this world, so I can't wait. I can't wait for this one. The next book on this list is a series conclusion, and that is Queen by Katee Robert. This is the third and final book in the Bloodline Vampire series. And this series is just like this really over-the-top, wild vampire romance. It is a polyamorous romance in here. So you are following, I think it's 3 vampires and a half vampire heroine. And the 4 of them are kind of like trying to take down this like evil vampire bloodline. I don't want to go too much into the plot of this because there isn't a whole ton of plot in this. Essentially, these 4 main characters are trying to take down a bad guy. There's a lot of wild twists and turns and a lot of sexy good times, but I'm excited to see how this all wraps up because these books aren't that long, and book 2 kind of like separated all of the characters. So I'm interested to see how it all comes together in one more book, but I'm planning on wrapping this up. This technically released in December, but it didn't come to it's not coming to KU until I believe the 1st of January. Do plan to download the KU version in January and finish the series up. The next book on this list, I don't think I've actually talked about this book like at all, even though it is a highly anticipated book. I just haven't been talking about this author or these series on my channel because I feel like they're talked about everywhere and nobody wants to hear about them anymore. But that is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. I actually take off work for Sarah J. Maas releases so that I can just sit down and binge the entire book. This is the next book in the Crescent City series. Crescent City is not my favorite Sarah J. Maas book, but I did really like by the halfway point, like that last half I loved. And I'm really excited to see like where the series goes from here. I have not looked at the synopsis for this. I never look at the synopsis for a Sarah J. Maas book. I don't care what it's about. I'm going to read it. So this is the next book on the TBR. I will read this on release day like I always do. So this was an easy one to add to my winter TBR. And then the final book on this TBR is another companion sequel. That is Running Wild by K.A. Tucker. This is the 3rd book in the Simple Wild series. This is actually a companion story because we are no longer following like the main characters from the Simple Wild series. In this, we are following Marie, who was like the ex of the hero from the Simple Wild series. And you see her like a little bit throughout the Simple Wild series, and her and the hero were pretty good friends. And this is her romance. I don't know anything else about it. I don't know if there is a synopsis for this book or not. I don't think K.A. Tucker ever like revealed a full synopsis for this other than it is Marie's romance. I'm excited for another book in the series. I love the setting so much. So I'm excited. I'm excited to pick this one up. Okay, so that is it for my winter TBR. Those are the 10 books that I am planning on reading. I do think that I will hit all of these. A little spoiler for my fall one, I have either read or started all of them. So I'm usually pretty good about like picking books for this TBR or like these seasonal TBRs that I will actually read. I'm hoping that all of these ones will get read for winter, especially since I'm vlogging quite a few of these. So hopefully we have a really good wrap up at the end of winter. But yeah, I'm really excited about all 10 of these books. Let me know if you are setting a seasonal TBR, if you're planning on reading any of these books this winter, or if you've read them and what you thought, and I will catch you all in my next video. Bye. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories.